Good morning everyone, it's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be testing out the new RImuru Raphael New Year's Light 3.0 DPS unit. So very quick overview, and also very quick disclaimer, this video will probably be very long because we have multiple things that we need to test out with this RImuru. Damage testing, we need to test out like the skills with and without the stun. We got to test out the ult resistance down on a whole bunch of other teams because it's a support skill that can be used. This video will be long, so I will try and include timestamps in the description below in case you want to just skip around. But with that out of the way, let's just very quickly go over what RImuru does. Magic, attack growth, uses a book, 435%, which at full 6-star awakened, you will get 480%, so quite a significant jump. First skill lowers the ult damage resistance of an enemy, which is the first time we've ever got that, which is why we're going to use this on a number of different teams that we know kind of what the DPS looks like and how much this is going to add. And then also gives everyone Pierce, which is good. The second skill is the wonky one, so 100% chance to stun, and increases own stun strike by 40%, which means that if they are stunned, you just do extra damage. Valor trait nerfs oranges if you send 2 orbs, that's fine. Actual trait is every 3 turns you get 4 protection points up to 6, which is just like Space RImuru, Windmillum, the hero, like that. And then for the EX board, gets extra Pierce power if Soka is on the team, and is a self-buffer. So with that kit overview out of the way, let's jump into our first damage test with the team. With the light team as it stands right now. Okay, as our first damage test for the Raphael and Shuna combo, we are in EX1 of the new Tempered Edge stage. We're on turn 8, which is when Veldora loses a few of his buffs, including his defensive buff. So now we have applied everything that we have. We have 9 stacks of Shuna active. So we've got 90% Pierce power, 90% stun strike. We've got a charm for 8% Pierce power that I've got on Shuna. Guaranteed Pierce. We've got the other 40% coming from Rimuru's skill, so we're actually at 130% stun strike. And then a light attack buff for 50%, and the ult buff for 70 from Water Shuna, and 7% defense down from Soka, and then the ult resist down 50%, and then the water resist doesn't really matter. But the 50% ult resist is, you know, big time right there. So let's see how hard we hit, and then we'll come back into EX, and then actually we'll probably go into like the water version of this and try and get an equivalent amount and compare damage as it sits right now. We're not going to bring Dark Val during these comparisons because I just want to see how it runs, you know, I guess optimally with orb changing to get, you know, 9 stacks realistically. So we'll just try and compare as a very low tier damage test. So Veldora has, I know you guys can't see it, but he has 406,000 HP left. I don't know if we're gonna do all that. We could do that though. Let's actually see how much the normals do first. And they do 43 and 44, and the ult does 470,000 damage. You know, it's definitely not bad. 470k is our first baseline with 9 stacks. Let me make sure I can put that in here. So 9 stacks, 470k. Alright, so now I'm going to go, and we're going to go into the water stage and the dark stage and kind of test those damages using an equivalent-ish team. Alright, before we move on to one of the other teams' damage test, I wanted to show what happens if we don't stun. So we've stacked back up to, you know, 9 stacks of Shuna, so 90% Pierce, 90% Stun Strike. However, we are not going to use the stun or stun strike here, and I want to see how far the damage drops off between having it and not having it. We still have all the Pierce stacks, we still have guaranteed Pierce, we have the light buff, we have the ult buff, we still have the defense down and the ult resist down, but just nothing to do with the stun. So last time we did 470k, and I expect to do significantly less, probably around like high 300s, maybe 400,000. Because, you know, it's a significant chunk. We're missing, what, 130% stun strike damage? It's gonna be quite a drop-off. And this is just, you know, trying to show in stages that you can't stun how efficient this particular team can still run and how much damage it can put out. So let's go ahead and try it. I don't know how much do the normals do now, because they were doing like 43, 44 with the stun strike. These will do probably like 30-ish, 20-ish. Ooh, even worse. And the alt does 205,000 damage. 205 is a significant decrease, more than I thought it would. Oh. Okay. So, yes, on stages where you're meant to stun, you can stun. Obviously, you 100% want to use that, you know, that debuff and buff, because that is just unacceptable. For 9 stacks, we're going to go into like water and, well, I guess dark can't really do 9 stacks because it does have a cap, but the water team at 9 stacks will do more than 205,000 with, you know, all everything that's going on for it. Even without the dark Val buff, it'll do more than that. And space will do that too. And it won't be restricted to stages that you can stun. So, okay, well, that is good science right there. Now we shall return with a different team. Alright, we are back with the water team. We have 9 stacks, turn 10, but, you know, whatever, we have 9 stacks. I had to lower my attack value of Hinata by a bit to get her a little bit more in line with what Raphael's attack stat was at the time. Raphael was at like 9,400, and I think Hinata's at like 95. She was at like 99, so that would have been like a 500 point jump, which would have been not as efficient for, you know, a same type test. But we have 9 stacks of Milim, so she's at 107% water attack here, and then we've got extra water attack from the charm, which will replace the extra pierce power we got from the charm on Shuna. We've got the water attack for 50%, so that replaces the light attack buff from Leon. We've got guaranteed crit and crit damage, so that will essentially be the stun damage right there. And then magic attack and then her own attack buff will somehow replace kind of some of the other... What else are we missing? The pierce, I guess. I don't know. It is not a perfect one-to-one scenario, but I'm just trying to show you, you know, what 9 stacks on the light team compares to with 9 stacks on the water team. So obviously we're going to kill here. So with the pierce, or no, with the stun attack we did 470, and without it we did 205 with the light team. How much will this water team do with 9 stacks? And it does 289, which is actually significantly less than I thought we would do. I thought we would actually break 300, maybe a little higher than that. So it is still higher than not having the stun damage, but still quite a bit less. 200k almost less than the stun attack. Pretty significant right there, but it's 80k higher than without the stun attack. Okay, we are back for the final damage comparison test with the dark team. I tried using the space team, but honestly, it's pretty old and it's very not as efficient at getting points to get the buffs. And plus, the space tempered edge, like if you don't nuke on a certain turn, she gets like 80% magic resistance, which wildly throws off the number. And I was at it for like an hour, and I just either was nuking on the wrong turn because she had the resistance, or I just didn't have enough points for everything because, you know, 250% on all orbs is cool and all, but if you're focusing on blues, it's just not enough points to negotiate trying to full orb change hands every single turn. You just don't have enough. So we're here with the dark team. We are on turn 8. All of his defenses are gone. We have full buffs. We've got the dark. We've got the crit. We've got the crit damage. We've got the ult. We've got the 70% with Veldora. Gazel also has 15% down on resistance for the crit, so we've used 3 stacks of Shinsha. So, I mean, we're capped out as far as everything's concerned. We could have used, Dark Vows, but obviously we didn't. We have not touched it. We are only at 70% right here. So let's compare. So 470 with the stun attack, 205 without. The water team did 289 with, 9 stacks. This is as far as we can get with Veldora. So let's compare damage now. 338. So much more than the, a decent chunk more than the water team, like 50k. And still quite a bit less than the full power light team. So, I mean, yeah, the light team in the scenario where it's set up to be in is going to outdamage a lot of things. Now, again, we couldn't test the space team because I can't be bothered. If you want to go do it on your own time and tell me how much you can get at 9 stacks with a minimum attack stat of around 9,500k, please let me know in the comments, but I'm going to move on with the showcase. So, okay. Yeah, we've proven that the light team in perfect scenarios can do a shit ton of damage. So let's move on to actual, other uses for Rimuru. Okay, we've seen how much Raphael can do in her perfect setup, but now we're going to take her into a more support role. And what better team to run than, the Anniversary Dark team, right? Milim can benefit from, both parts of Raphael's skill, being the Pierce, right? And the ult resistance down, because this is the team I used to test the the damage comparison test. So I have changed nothing except replace Dark Valentine, who we didn't even use, with Raphael. And so we know that the Dark team did 338k with the Dark buff, the crit damage, the ult buff, her attack, and then Veldora fully stacked up. So now, how much more are we going to increase from 338 using the 50% ult resist down and the guaranteed Pierce? Probably quite a bit. So I'm going to bring you guys back when we're ready to nuke, because I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get that set up, because it's another 55-point skill that we got to use. So I'll see you guys shortly. Alright, we are back. We are ready to nuke turn 11. We have everything ready to go. We've got 70% ult right there. Milim has the magic attack 70% from Veldora, the dark attack from the charm, pierce rate from Raphael, crit rate, crit damage, her own attack buff, the dark attack buff, and then we also have the ult resistance down and 25% crit resistance down, and the dark resistance. So we have literally everything we could possibly use on this team. We know that the dark team with, I think, 15% crit resistance down instead of 25, we were doing 338k. So now that we have the extra pierce, the extra ult resist down, now it's time to find out how much that goes up by. And I'm thinking, if we did 338, I'm thinking like 400 right here. At least 400. So 500,000, just about. That was 499. Oh. I mean, yeah, the Pierce is another modifier. Even without extra Pierce damage, it's still going to increase our damage output. And then that ult resist down. Alright, so here we are again using the water team, the same exact setup as our first test, except we've swapped out Soe for Raphael to see the impact of her ult resist down alongside, Water Hinata doing what she does. So the last time Water Team did 289k with 9 stacks. We have 9 stacks again. We have used the ult resist down, the water resist down. We've also used the crit seal, so technically our ult is full 75%, so a little bit extra there, but it's part of her skill set. And then we have guaranteed Pierce on Hinata as well, but we also have all the buffs from Xion and the ult buff from Shuna. So I expect us to hit much, much, much higher, because, the Dark team hit much, much, much higher with Raphael's skill. So if we did 289, I kind of think we're going to do 400k with this. I think we're going to do 400,000. So let's find out. And it is Ooh, 442k. Okay, I mean, that is inching relatively close to the 9 stacks of the light team with Shuna and her, her stun damage and her pierce stacks with Raphael as a DPS. So, I mean, Raphael can be a very good support on teams that can, that has the point coverage to use another 55-point skill. Like, I wouldn't probably use this on Light 2.0 because you're not raising your cap, you have a finite amount of skill points, and like the alt buff lasts for 1 turn, the crit resistance down from the hero lasts for 1 turn, this alt resist down lasts for 1 turn, so you have a whole bunch of skills that you can't hold in the back. So I wouldn't use it there. I think... What else? I mean, I don't want to try the space team. Yeah, Raphael. Maybe my impression of her is a bit higher now. Because yes, you can't use the stun everywhere. But that relates to her being the DPS. Her being the one that's going to nuke. But if you can put it on the water team or the dark team and you have the point coverage, you can increase your damage by a fuck ton. So this is going to be interesting. And I did go back with the Dark team and try it with, instead of Raphael, I used the 60% alt buff from Dark Valentine with the same buffs, the same Dark and Magic and crit damage and alt damage and all that, and 25% crit resistance down, and we did less. We did less damage with a 60% alt buff than a 50% alt resist down. So that is very telling. Valentine is still going to have a place on teams, right? Because she has their protection trait. But I'm fairly confident that even if we put Dark Val on this water team, we wouldn't have hit 442. We would have hit close, but maybe like 410, maybe, because it wasn't that far off on the Dark team, but it was still less. Okay, all right. Let me figure out something else we can use her on. Let's go into like a normal fight that's not stacking and just try and use her on a not stacking team and see how that goes. Alright guys, for probably the last part of this video, we're going to go into Fire Tempered Edge, because we all know how difficult Clayman was on EX2 without like a good fire team, right? So now we're going to actually go into EX3 this time. Not 5, because I think that's a little out of reach for a team that is not full fire, but EX3 should be a very, useful test for this team that we're going to show. So we're going to bring Dark Veldora, right? He's going to stack points, which is good, because that's what we need for this team, and he's also going to give us skill cap and reset costs, which is going to be great. Shizu is here for both of her buffs. Raphael's here for her debuff. Isis is here and Milim are here, both for their orb changing, green buff, and then the alt buff, and then Violet will be our primary DPS. And I think this team can work, right? Veldora can get us to the skill cap where we can use 3 major buffs, being Shizu's fire, Raphael's debuff, and then Milim's alt, and then still have, because Violet's buffs last for multiple turns, alongside Shizu's pierce buff. I mean, this should be able to work in theory. So let's jump in and we'll try and play this entire match. All right, let's see how RNG wants to treat me today. So obviously we can't have Violet up front turn 1 because we get crit sealed. So thankfully, looks like we have at least 1 green coming next turn, and we've got Milim up front to give us extra skill points turn 2. So ideally, if we get a full hand of greens, then perfect. And if we don't, then we can use Milim's orb change and then use Isis's green buff, and then we'll be looking pretty good. Okay, so that's fine. There's the crit seal. But now we have to burn as well. Otherwise we get locked in, so never mind. It would have been a lot better to get a full hand of greens, but we are going to do what we can here. Isis will come out for Violet. And then we will burn with her. And then we'll also bring in you for Milim. Yeah, Milim. And then we'll use the burn, that way we're not locked. And then pop, 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 pop. Okay, 37, 57. It's quite a big jump there, Shizu. 11-9. Good. And, okay, we got a good hand. Alright, perfect. So, let's now bring Isis back in for Raphael. We'll use her orb change and her green buff. And then we can swap Shizu out for Milim. Use Veldora to reset Milim's cost, and then use her orb change, and then we'll have quite a few points to play with. Violet still has her attack buff for one more turn. We still have burn there. We only have one orb with Violet, but it's enough to get her ult, which is the important part. Yeah, 144 points, so we've got plenty to use now. I don't think we have another Veldora, though, which is unfortunate. And that hand is also unfortunate. Oh, we do have another Veldora. Okay. Yeah, okay. We're going to use this buff on Violet and send her away for Shizu. And yeah, I think we just make room in our hand, right? There's no real point in using any skills right now. So yeah, we're just going to send these and pray that we get a good hand of greens next turn. 59. Burn. Oh. Well, that's just hilarious. Okay. He's got an ult. I think both of you die if you take that, so that's not really what I want to do right here. I'm gonna swap both of you out. Hopefully he hits Violet. Hopefully. And then we'll send, again, these stupid oranges, get them out of my sight. Please hit Violet. Don't counter. Don't hit Shizu, she's gonna die. Okay, you hit Violet, good. And we get a counter. Cheeky counter. Okay. This is a good hand. Alright. This is a good hand. So, we can bring Milim back in for Violet. We can bring Isis in for Raphael. And then use the green buff. Reset. And then use Milim's orb change again. I should probably try and get some stacks of burn as well. So yeah, I think that's what we'll work on for the next couple turns and try and get like at least 2 stacks of burn on. Okay, don't stop countering. I don't want you to counter. For the love of God, don't counter. We're gonna have to get Milim out of here. Yeah, she's gonna have to go. Okay. So we can. Okay, we got another orange coming, which is not great. So let's get. Okay. Next turn is the nuke turn. We need points for that. We're not going to get a lot of points, though. So let's use this. Let's reset with Milim. And then use hers. We still have the green buff going. We'll get Milim out of here. And then we'll burn again. Alright. And then we'll send this entire hand. And this will be a lot of points. Why are we doing that? Alright. No one should die here. We have 91 skill points coming. Which should be enough for the nuke. Should be in the keyword. Oh god, no. Oh, no. He's gonna AoE. Please don't kill Shizu. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, thank god. Okay. Alright. Okay. I think we're ready to go. We've got a Shizu ult, we've got a Violet ult, so we can get one more stack of burn on. So let's get... how do I want to play this? We gotta get the fire attack on, obviously. We gotta get the pierce on. Actually, no, we can hold off on this pierce power. No, actually we don't have to, because we're gonna leave her up front. So let's do that. Alright. And then we can bring Milim in for Isis. We can use her ult buff. And then we can bring in Raphael for Milim. Then we can use her ult resistance down and pierce rate. So that means that Shizu is also going to have pierce and her pierce power from her own skill. And we're just going to double down on the pierce for Violet. But Violet already has the pierce buff. So there's that. We can reset now. And we can use another stack of burn. Okay, I think we're ready to go. I wish we had more orbs for Violet, but, you know, it is what it is. Yeah. Okay, so Violet, crit rate, pierce rate, attack, crit damage, fire attack, pierce power, magic attack doesn't matter, dark attack doesn't matter. 70% ult resist down, 2 stacks of burns, that's 40% extra. Alright, so let's send Shizu, then Violet, and then we'll send these follow-up orbs, and we'll see if we can kill here. He has a lot of health left. 56. Violet does 183. And, okay, Shizu's dead from a counter. That's fine. We got her attacks out of the way. And then 19.5, and the burn does 108,000, and we kill. Okay. I mean, that works out. Even without any stacks from, you know, Veldora's magic buff, it would have been just extra damage. But she almost did 200k right there, with 100k burn on EX3. Now, I don't think this is going to work for EX5, obviously, because, you know, our units were pretty low on health. But I'm not upset with that. I mean, okay, Raphael showing that even without stunning, she can be a very, very good support unit. And you don't really need Shuna either for that to work. You need Shuna if you want Raphael to be your DPS. But in the event you don't pull Shuna, and you still have some semblance of a stacking team, whether it be a Veldora or Water 2.0 with Milim, I mean, Raphael can help those units hit quite a bit harder. Quite a bit harder. Alright, well, let me think if there's anywhere else that I want to take her, and maybe we'll come back, or maybe we'll just recap. Who knows? Alright, so I couldn't really think of anywhere else that I wanted to take Raphael. As far as like showing her on the actual Light 3.0 team, there's, you know, limited places that we can use that effectively. Pretty much only Tempered Edge right now. So, I mean, I think we got a lot out of her, because I think that she's more useful right now as a support, especially if you don't have Shuna. But we did show that she is a very, very good support unit and can enable teams to hit very, very hard. So I'm not upset with her skills. One of them is very restrictive, but one of them is also very, very powerful. And on certain stacking teams where you have enough points to use another 55-point skill, you're going to actually end up doing more damage using her than, you know, Dark Valentine. And except for, you know, the Dark team where you're resetting those costs, it's actually going to cost you less points for Raphael's buff than 3 times of Dark Val's buff. Maybe you get a little bit of heal out of that, but I mean, still. I think I went into this showcase unsure of how I felt about her. And I was leaning towards the not great side. But after using her for, what, like 4.5 hours now is how long it took me to record this entire video and get all the gameplay, my opinion of her has raised very, very significantly. If she was a 5 to begin with, I'd consider her probably about an 8 now. She would be higher again if we could use her second skill in every event, but, you know, oh well. I'm sure that since she is a DPS, whatever 2 other meta units come out, it's just going to make her look even better. And then Light 3.0 is going to do a butt ton of damage. Like, we did, what, almost 500k first off with 9 stacks? So I expect whatever else comes with this, we're going to push, like, over 550, maybe close to 600,000 damage, if we get more supports. We'll have to see on that. But let me know what you guys think of Raphael. Were you pleasantly surprised at her abilities like I was, or are you still on the fence about her? Let me know in the comments below, but that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.